What's the best piece of financial advice that you've ever gotten? This is a lesson that most people need to learn. When you aren't doing something, it seems amazing eating out, living in a nicer part of town, or driving a new car. But just like everything in life, when you do it regularly, it no longer seems special. While your car payment doesn't decrease in the fourth year of your loan, I guarantee when you've owned that $35,000 car for 3.5 years, you won't be doing leaps of joy every time you step in it. It's a car, just like your last car was. It has problems. It makes that noise. It's a bit messy. It's just a car. Everything is like this. If you cook every meal at home, to be frugal, eating out will seem like an amazing luxury. But once you've been eating out 1-2 times a week for a year, you won't even care or notice. Try to find real permanent gains with your money. Experiences like traveling are good. They're one-time expenses that don't become routine and can take you out of your comfort zone. Bigger TV? Well, they're always going to make bigger TVs to lust after. And the shine wears off a new TV pretty quickly. Mine wasn't so much advice as it was an experience. In college, I used to work for a pretty big car wash chain, Delta Sonic. The owners of the chain were multi-billionaire real estate investors, the Benderson family. You can Google them if interested. Ron Benderson was the founder and owner of the car wash chain and ran it along with his son Brent. Even though the chain of car washes made up a small fraction of their overall portfolio, they took a personal touch with it, almost like a pet project or a hobby. I would see them come by a few times a year. I was at a Chicago-based location, and they are largely based out of the Northeast, so they only came around when they could. They were very approachable and always listened to the opinions and thoughts of the employees. If it was going to make the company better, they wanted to hear it. Now, what always struck me was how they lived, though. These were probably the richest people I will ever encounter in my entire life. The billionaire of billionaires. However, through my interactions with them, I learned what true wealth really is. First, they looked like they bought their clothes at Walmart. Because they did. They didn't come with Armani suits or anything. More often than not, they just wore jeans and a cheap button-up shirt. The few times I had seen them in suits, at the annual banquet, it was clearly bought off the rack. Probably from Kohl's or something. Second, you would think they drive some pretty crazy cars. I mean, they own a car wash chain, so they must be pretty enthusiastic about cars. Well, they drove an 8-year-old Ford Focus. Together, carpooled from New York out to Chicago. And when they came to town, they just crashed at one of the manager's houses. Having said that, they were very generous. Ron Benderson is pretty well known for his philanthropy. You could tell how much this guy really cared about the things he donated his money to. Also, every visit, he would find one employee that he thought was doing a great job. He would approach him and give him a $100 bill and tell him how much he appreciates the great customer service he is doing. If I never worked there, I really don't think I would understand today what true wealth is. While this might go against the grain for this forum, this is advice I got from my cousin after he saw the life my dad went through. There's no point in saving every freaking penny you earn if you don't set aside something to have fun with. My dad saved every penny he ever earned and got his house and car paid off early. He worked 60+ a week when he was younger and never had any fun. He regrets it now because he has this money that he can't really use to travel and whatnots. So my advice is take 5% of your yearly salary and just have some fun. If you don't use it all, either roll it over for next year or put it to some good use. Money isn't everything. Experiences are. Save money on the things you don't care about so you can afford to spend money on the things you do care about. Obviously, having a good future plan and retirement is important, but once you are saving well, it isn't wrong to have a little fun with your leftover money. The important thing is to continue to stick to your budget. That way, you are spending money on the things that matter to you. You don't want to spend an extra $100 on food, when really you wish you could go skiing more often each winter. I have two. Quality over cost. This is the hardest one to learn, especially once you get used to the broke college kid lifestyle. Yes, there are many things that the cheaper you get them, the better. And there is obviously a limit on how much you should spend on quality product, depending on your financial situation. It's not a formula, It's experience and good judgment. It takes a while to get the hang of, but I'm so glad my mom taught me this. Example that's on my mind. I used to cheap $10 jeans on a yearly basis. Sometimes even more, because they ripped easily and got ruined in the wash. I now invest in $80 pairs that last me years and years. Other good examples are appliances and electronics. It's just not worth it if you're going to have to replace it in a month. Invest in experiences, whether it's a future vacation, skydiving, a Super Bowl, or a trip with friends. Some people claim it's a waste of money, that you could be putting it toward retirement or a savings account. But there's nothing wrong in spending money on fun things if it's done reasonably. For me, it actually keeps me from spending on dumb things or making impulse purchases. If I have $3,000 sitting on my savings, after calculating for emergencies, etc., and nothing to use it for, I'm more likely to get some expensive new gadget that I don't truly want. But if I know that money is eventually going to go toward my Mardi Gras vacation with friends, then it sits pretty until that happens, and I have a wonderful time. Bottom line is save and be smart, but also don't forget to enjoy yourself. And when it comes to fun, experiences are usually way better than items. Good advice. My girlfriend's friend is getting married this fall. She was talking about the wedding. I'm not going. Score. And mentioned that her engagement ring was purchased on a credit card. I cringed. Told her that if I ever purchase an engagement ring, it will be cash or cash equivalent. Her ring was over $2,000 though. No, her ring was over $3,000 if you included all that interest. I'd rather save $2,000 while making a couple of bucks interest in a bank account, CD or whatever, than lose an extra $1,000 paying somebody else interest. I think there are really only 4 things that you can justify long-term debt for: cars, houses, education, and medical expenses. I noticed a lot of advice is focused on saving money. Oftentimes, it's hard to save when the majority of your spending is on necessities. What's there to save when you don't have much in the first place? Growing up poor will teach you that. Valuable advice I've received is to find a lucrative job, and while maintaining a side business such as freelancing, work your ass off to make your skills valuable, whether it be through higher education or self-taught. It's so hard to save money through a minimum wage job or a low-paying salary with a family that depends on you. Sometimes you have to make things happen by being your own boss